In this episode of The Circuit, we're going to be speaking with food connoisseur, food critic, and ace guitarist Bhushan Chitnis. Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of The Circuit. We are a live show streaming every Wednesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. regularly. Today we're a little late because we're still doing our teething. On the show tonight, we have ace guitarist Bhushan Chitnis, as I said earlier. This is a live streaming show, which means if you are watching this right now at 7:35 on June 13, 2019, which means you're seeing it as it happens, and if you're seeing this after, that means you figured it out. Which also means that you can comment live on Facebook, and if I may point out to my Facebook channel where this is being aired, you can actually join in here and ask us something. Remind you, if you need us to respond to you, you need to put an @Sherrin Varghese or @Bhushan Chitnis. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me dive into the man of the day, ladies, Bhushan Chitnis. Bhushan, tell us your journey, man. What's it been like for you in music in Bombay? Where are you from? What do you like? What you don't like? And what are your tastes like?
So basically, I'm born and brought up in Pune, like not very far from Bombay. I moved here a couple of years ago. I think it's exactly a couple of years ago because it's 2 years ago. So I moved.
Is it?
Yeah, it's almost 2 years. I'm fairly new to this whole, Bombay culture and everything.
What is the Bombay culture?
Bombay culture is like how to not smell even if you sweat, basically.
We know how to mask it, is it?
Yeah. So I've gotten used to, being in Bombay constantly.
Okay.
It's been nice throughout.
All right.
It's been nice, yeah.
So what's your musical journey like? I mean, what are your tastes? How did you get in the whole guitar scene? Why is guitar your choice of weapon?
When I was like around 11, 12 years old, I had this friend who I used to hang around after school, right? So his mom was into like, go to all these classes, go to this class, go to that class. And she found that perfect window where we would chill and hang out and do nothing. So she basically put him for guitar class. And I had nobody to do my thing with, right? Like I would just go home, watch TV, and then I got bored and I told my mom, okay, even I want to go guitar class.
You want to go play guitar.
So then eventually, after much pestering, my mom was like, hey, you screwed over tabla class, you screwed over this class, that class, you don't do drawing. And
You're not wasting my money anymore.
Yeah, not anymore. But then somehow I convinced her and then I went to that class for around few months and then I learned what the instrument is over there.
Okay.
Like how to hold it, what everything is called, and all that basic stuff. I was young, I was in school, So after that, I quit the class because of a lot of reasons. I didn't have the time to, focus that much. And then eventually, I realized, okay, I really miss playing guitar, and that's how the whole YouTube thing happened. So I've been self-taught after that. So
fantastic. So, being self-taught, you landed yourself into the lines of Aditya Pushkarna, Arjun Kanungo, Sherrin Varghese, Yashika, and you've been a prolific guitar player with all of these players, and these are all young cats in the business, including me. Thank you. So, tell us about how you got around with the guy who I believe introduced you to Bombay in that sense, in the musical sense, who is Mr. Aditya Pushkarna, if I may point out, the boss man.
Adi, basically we call him Sarji because I'm really still very scared of him. He's scary as hell. So basically, he works on a lot of TV shows. So he needed a guitar player to do studio sessions for the whole TV thing basically. So everything is pre-dubbed and then they shoot the whole thing later, right? So he wanted a guitar player and I still do. I mean, some of my very good friends, they are a Marathi music director trio, Rishikesh, Saurabh and Jasraj. So they are called HSJ. So Rishikesh knows Adi really well. So basically he introduced me to him and then he called me over one day. He was like, tu tera pura bistar leka aa ja idhar.
So what are the shows that you played on?
So I played, the first show that I did with him was Om Shanti Om. So it was basically, we rearrange all the bhajans and kirtans into really contemporary arrangements.
Yeah, I remember Anurag is your roommate. Anurag plays drums with me in my band and he played one of your tracks. I remember this.
So I can't play metal to save my life. It's all because of Anurag that I have to do.
What other shows have you tracked for him?
So I've been working on and off on a lot of other TV shows as well. I did a little bit of Dil Hai Hindustani, I did a little bit of The Voice, I did a little bit of The Stage. All these TV shows, so he basically heads the audio,
correct.
the music head.
We also believe you've been performing live with Arjun Kanungo.
Yeah. So Adi introduced me to Arjun.
Okay.
And that's how the whole chain happened. So
Okay.
Arjun, I've been working with him since I moved here actually. It's like after the TV show, the first gig I did in Bombay was with Arjun.
Alright.
So I'm a part of his team, I guess, and then we do a lot of like live shows. We work together on his other musical projects. I've played on a lot of his songs.
Correct. So this might be a good time. I mean, Arjun has graciously given us permission to play his song "Tuna Mera," the reprise of which it's done 500Ks. Yeah. Arjun, if you're watching this show, congratulations, man. Arjun is also somebody who I know when when he had a studio here at Promethean. I don't know if he still has it, right? And I've known a lot of common musicians with him. He's a great guy. He's produced one of my songs.
One of the sweetest, man. He's one of the most.
And this is his song, and let's watch it and let's hear it.
ਵਿੱਚ 10 ਵਾਰੀ ਕਾਲ ਕਰਦੀ ਤੇਰੀ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਉੱਤੇ ਇੰਨਾ ਸ਼ੱਕ ਕਰਦੀ ਮੈਂ ਜੇ ਯਾਰ ਨਾਲ ਮਿਲਦਾ ਮੇਰੇ ਤੋਂ ਲੜਦੀ ਮੇਰੇ ਲੱਤਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਵੀ ਨੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਮਰਜ਼ੀ ਮੇਰੀ ਚੈੱਕ ਲਿਸਟ ਖੋਲ ਕੇ ਤੂੰ ਪੜਦੀ ਜਾਣੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਆਦੇ ਨਾਮ ਉੱਤੇ ਸੜਦੀ ਤੇਰੇ ਨਖਰੇ ਤੂੰ ਰੱਖ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮਾਫ ਕਰ ਵੀ ਜਾ ਤੂੰ ਪਿੱਛਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਛੱਡ ਮੈਂ ਤੋਂ ਹੋਗੀ ਗਲਤੀ ਤੂੰ ਨਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਤੂੰ ਨਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਤੂੰ ਨਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਤੇਰਾ ਰਹਿਣ ਦੇਣਾ ਤੂੰ ਨਾ ਮੇਰਾ ਨਾ ਮੈਂ ਤੇਰਾ फिर क्यों मिले हैं मुझे हर जगह पे ऐसे दूर तू ना मेरा ना मैं तेरा रहने देना तू ना मेरा ना मैं तेरा
Ladies and gentlemen, Bhushan Chitnis playing on Arjun Kanungo's song. That was quite fun. Arjun, congratulations on the song once again. We also believe you've done, you perform with Yashita Sharma as well. So tell us something about her.
So she's one of Bollywood's most sought after playback singers today.
Okay.
I mean, like, I really love the way she sings, and I really love the way she's a complete performer. I mean, it's a pleasure performing with her, full of energy, and like, you know, so usually I did a lot of like studio work, so I was getting rusty in the whole live thing, you know.
Okay.
So with playing with Yashita, you go all like, you know,
all right. So now tell me, who else have you performed with?
I don't know, man. I mean, like, I've been doing a lot of one-off stuff.
This is
like,
the time where I give you a hint as to who
you do. La la la. Sorry.
But tan moment happened for you.
Yeah.
We rehearsed this, remember?
Yeah, we did. Yeah. So let's go by the whole rehearsal.
The next chronological order should be, who else do you perform with?
You, man.
Thank
Sherrin
you.
Varghese.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bhushan Chitnis is also an avid recording artist in my studio, which is the reason why he's part of this. He's also part of the in-house band that is going to be part of the circuit, which is going to be panning out later. We would like to show you a title track which we produced. You've heard this title track in the promos, but this is the Pune variant of it, which is going to eventually land up with all the bands that we're going to be putting together. And here goes nothing.
Rolling now, rolling forever.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. That was the title track. You shall see and hear more of that in the forthcoming episodes. For those who've just walked in, this is The Circuit. This is a live streaming show which we go on Facebook right now every Wednesday and Thursday at 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. We are powered by Grail guitars. We are powered with Ddrums and Orange amplification from MusikShack. And Harman is responsible for all the capture, record, and playback. And talent like you is what we're looking forward to showcase. What should we else talk? Oh, okay. So we could. Do you want to? So since you're such an accomplished guitar player, we thought it might be nice to present you with our snack partner.
Wow.
Who is?
I've been eyeballing that.
Yeah,
for
you've
a
been
while.
eyeballing that. This is basically Desi tortillas, okay, and they're supposedly said with instead of tortillas, they should be said as tortillas. Okay, and they're basically khakra, and they're very healthy. And we have a crew of about 6 to 10 people here, and we're forever hungry because we're working the whole day towards getting this live stream show right. And this is healthy. And Neha, thank you for this.
Epic it is, epic.
Epic it is.
Yeah.
So listen. So we thought it might be nice to kind of take us through what's your signal flow and what's the. Before you do that, I think it might be nice for our audience if we can like listen to what you do and kind of listen to your shred.
Sure, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So we got this YouTube content creator by the name of Maidan Jam Tracks.
He's very good at what he does.
He's very good, right? Okay. So 2 funky backing track jam in C minor. You ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. Here goes. Ladies and gentlemen, Bhushan Chitnis in the house, ramming it up. We shall take some comments right now. So we have a lot of people who joined us. Sanket Josh, Varun Panchal, Enoch Harold, awesomeness. Pranita Gehlot Das, wow, that's catchy. Adrian Fernandez says, damn. Varun Panchal says, make some noise for the circuit boys. Sharma Sanjeev says, wow. Tanmay Velankar has also joined. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us once again. Everybody who's been part of this. We had a lot of people behind the scenes who can't be seen right now. But hey, man, if there's something that you'd like... Okay, Pranita Goyaladas says, Bhushan, if someone middle-aged wants to start self-learning guitar from the very basics, even though it might be pretty late, what tips would you give? Pranita, please.
So this is a question that I get asked a lot of, like really often. So the thing is that there's this website called justinguitar.com, and I learned a lot of basic stuff from that website. And then I'm still learning. Like, he puts a lot of stuff, man.
Someone middle-aged wants to start
and it's really nice.
Basics, even though it might be pretty late. Well, no mistake just happened. Sorry, don't mind me. Just cut it. I'll try and cut that off.
That I get asked a lot of, like really often. So yeah, justinguitar.com, right? We were talking about. So there's a lot of. It's organized so well, like that website.
What about it so organized?
The kind of level that you are at, what kind of music you like, and see, like when you're trying to learn something, like most people come and tell you good things about you, right?
Okay.
Hey, you doing fine, man. And nobody puts you in place, like actually, like where you are, right? So when you look at that stuff, it is, even if you go to the advanced stuff or the intermediate stuff or the beginner stuff, you'll always take something from any lesson whatsoever.
Correct.
So
Correct.
you can start wherever, but like I'd recommend he's got all the beginner, advanced, intermediate, whatever that is, like that whole thing.
Right.
Even if you look at the beginner stuff, you'll be through it as soon as, like, even if you are an intermediate person, right? If you're an intermediate player, and even if you are looking at it like that, eventually you learn a lot from the beginner stuff. And then I would recommend going through the entire course.
Okay.
So, yeah.
So Pranitha, I hope that answers your question. I'm trying to like kind of rope in the comments as Bhushan is talking to me, but don't mind me. It might look like I'm not paying attention, but I am paying attention. You ready for another track, man? So
I think we'll have to change the battery of this.
you know, change the battery of this.
Went off,
Okay, so you can keep. Adrian, just help us with the battery, please.
Yeah.
Adrian's the assistant who's going to kindly come on from that side and give me more. Oh, is that why you were thrown off, Adrian?
Yeah.
All right, so we have this another, so the same content creator called My Dan Jam Tracks. Thank you for putting out such wonderful material, man. There's a John Mayer style backing track in G.
Yeah.
Yeah, you up for this?
Yeah.
Give it to me, Adrian.
I'll just put this battery thingy.
That's good. Adrian, say hi to camera while you're on it. Say hi to mom. Blow some, give me some blowfish to your dad. And say, Dad, I'm doing so well. Adrian's a young cat, also a musician, also a producer, learning the ropes as we speak. Learn to put this in a dustbin.
How do you turn this on? Like you?
Yeah, give it to me.
Yeah.
You got your feet?
Nope.
Give
It's
it
not
to me.
turning on.
Give it to me. You must have put both of them in the same direction. Give it
No,
to me.
I put it properly.
I think they're both in the same.
Are they?
Yeah. This is one of those odd ones.
Whoops.
Crazy, no?
Yeah.
The pluses here, the minuses here.
I put ulta. What?
Wow, we're doing this on national airtime.
National airtime, like it's worldwide.
Imagine if this was a television show, everybody would be like, what? Kya ho gaya? Here you go. Plug it in.
Is it on?
Yeah, pretty good.
So are we doing John Mayer now?
Yes, let's do John Mayer. Are you ready?
Uno momento. Yeah. Oh, I love this track.
Wow.
Oh my god.
Wow, man.
This guy makes some
This guy
nice
really
tracks,
makes some.
right?
We would like to point out to this content creator by the name of My Dan Jam Tracks, John Mayer style backing track in G. Thank you, man. Thank you for being such a wonderful, free-spirited guy. Just puts out tracks and say, "Hey, man, do your thing." And we would like to give back to the guy, saying,
Of course, yeah.
thank you for it. Wonderful." There's some wonderful comments that have come in, Bhushan, and I would like to take you through what has happened. Teach me, master. Adrian Fernandez says, teach me, master. Nischal Chaudhary is asking, who's your favorite guitarist? All right, something else started. Sorry. Oops. Sorry. Nischal Chaudhary says, who's your favorite guitarist at the moment and why?
Oh, that's a really tough question. But now I've been following a lot of. There's this guitar player by the name of Josh Smith. So he's basically a blues player, but the kind of stuff that he plays nowadays, it's blues, but it's very contemporary. I mean, it's a mixture of blues and jazz and all the good stuff without it sounding academic. You know what I mean?
Explain this academic difference.
When you look at someone who plays jazz, they talk a lot of stuff. You know, they don't really. I mean, hey, can you play this scale over that chord, or dominant over all of that stuff? I mean,
So take us through his style. Teach us what you've learned from him.
So he does a lot of double stops and a lot of. I'll tell you what a double stop is essentially.
Okay.
I was doing that a while ago. So a double stop is basically playing two-note chords. You know, they aren't even chords exactly, but let's say you're in G, right? So if you want to play something like a G, A minor, B minor, C. So I could play.
That's called a double stop.
This is a double stop basically. Okay. So this is the kind of thing Hendrix would do, or somebody you know. Something like that.
So while you're on this, can you take us through the effective different styles that a guitar would generally be used as an instrument in terms of say a blues shredder or say a rock metal? So you can quickly take us through how you change your sound.
So it's mostly about sound, right?
Right.
So a blues player would play just one note, it'll sound really nice. It's mostly about, let's say, again, we are in the key of G. So even if he has to, it's basically based on this pentatonic box, right? So most guitaring comes from this, a lot of it, right?
Okay.
Especially mine, because that's how I learned the whole fretboard, right? Through shapes.
Okay.
So I think genres are. How do I explain? Usually, see, this is a shape, right? So a reggae player would play this shape differently. A jazz player would play this shape differently. A blues player would play this shape differently. So let's say I'm a blues player, right? So I would play a E minor pentatonic, right? I would do something like that. Something like this, right? If I was venturing a little into reggae, right? So for example, I'm playing I play something like it's essentially the same notes.
Yeah, but
right?
just the choice of it, yeah.
Right, and if I were to be a little bit of a fusion player or a jazz fusion player, I would add notes to this shape. So it's still the same shape, right? But I'm just pushing it a little bit in various directions.
So now, what would a rock guitarist do in such a scenario?
He'll turn this on. First thing. So essentially, it's the same shape again.
This
right?
might be a good time for me to say, Master Bhushan, thank you for that.
Oh my God.
For those who don't know, this is a private joke that happens amongst us because Master Bhushan does a lot of masturbating on the guitar in a very good sense, and this is a joke which Megdeep both also.
You know what? So I've seen a lot of I used to be that person, right? I used to be the overplaying guy in the whole studio or whatever. And then I did a lot of work and I got my ass whooped a lot of times just to, just because I overplayed. Okay. So essentially, I think I'd like to talk about that because like when we start learning the guitar, like especially when I did, I saw like guitar music, right? Matlab, Joe Satriani and Steve Vai, but they are great, amazing players. But nobody looks at their session careers, man. Like nobody looks at how they played in other bands. Like my new trip is to follow session players, like what they do exactly, So they are like mind-blowing players, but like when they play their own music, like Andy Timmons, for example. Andy Timmons is one of my favorite guitar players. Okay. So he's a phenomenal session player, right? But when he plays his own music, it's really complicated and it's really like wanking basically, right? But when he plays for a session, you will be stunned by the amount of notes that he plays, like 3 notes, 4.
Show us an example.
I mean, I don't know any Andy Timmons tunes, but like I can give you an example. Like if, for example, let me loop something for you. Wait.
While you're doing that, tell us what you're doing, alright? So we know what.
Yeah. So I basically have a pedal. It's a delay pedal. So I have a looper inbuilt. So what I can do is I can loop a phrase for you guys. So let's just stick to G, not today.
Okay. Haji.
Haji. So, if I were to play over this, like the old me, I would be like...
So this is what Master Bhushan would have done.
Exactly, yeah.
Now Mr. Bhushan will do what?
So, I would first listen to it, I would try to find space in the whole chord progression or whatever that is. It's about layering, right? So you put a lot of layers when you go to the studio. Like you can't humanly play so many layers, right? Correct. So it's all about overdubs.
Correct.
So when you wank on an overdub, especially when you
less
double
is
track,
more.
when you double track, you wank and then the engineer does, double track this. That's when you do that joke. You do that joke with me a lot. So when I play some improv stuff, Sherrin would be like, "Hey, can you redo that?" Like, you can't do that, man. I don't remember half the things I played. But anyway, so the point is that when you follow these people, it is very easy to get into that whole glamour side of things, Like when you see like a Steve Vai or when you see somebody like, any really accomplished guitar player, like when you see him play, it's about the guitar, right? But the guitar as an instrument is very versatile. Like it can be used in a lot of genres, in a lot of contexts. And the way you play in all these contexts is what matters. Doesn't matter if you can play 200 notes, in like 10 seconds or actually you can, but whatever. So the point is that you need to
You're
be
saying
smart.
basically less is more. This taste comes in after a certain amount of time. It is in the start when everybody's...
You get opportunities where the guy wants you to play those notes. Okay. You remember the metal things we did?
Yes, very well.
Right, so...
for those who don't know, Bhushan does a lot of session recordings for me, and I service the pharma industry a lot in terms of corporate anthems, and they need it in a certain style. So there's ample scope for Master Bhushan to be present,
man, totally.
And I think now Mr. Bhushan is a more accomplished player. Mr. Bhushan, please tell us what is this signal chain that you're going through, and take us through how Orange has...
Can I start from the guitar to the amp?
Yeah.
So this is a Fender Strat. I always have been playing Fender stuff. Like I really love the way they make their guitars and how classic it sounds.
Okay.
So I used to have a Tele, I still do. I have a Tele, and this is my newest guitar. This is my newfound love.
Latest baby.
Yeah, so this is the Fender Performer Strat that I use everywhere. So this is like a very versatile guitar. I use it in the studio, I use it for live, everything.
Okay.
Right, so this runs into this compressor which is made by an Indian company. It's called Vertikal. So I use this compressor. After that, it goes into my tuner. Then from the tuner, it goes into this pedal called the Wampler Tumnus. So it's basically a drive pedal. It's a very like low gain sort of a drive. So that, then it goes into this another Wampler pedal which is called the Dual Fusion. This Dual Fusion pedal is the signature pedal of one of my favorite guitarists. His name is Tom Quayle. So it's basically two overdrive pedals in one. So it's one sounds a little vintagey and one sounds a little modern. So you can, and you also you can blend them. Then it goes into my delay pedal, which is a Boss DD500, which is essentially like one of the best delay pedals available today. And this is there. And then it goes stereo into my Hall of Fame 2, which is a reverb pedal. So ideally, what I would do is. So from the Dual Fusion, this goes into the DD500 as a mono, comes out stereo into this, and then stereo out to 2 amps. So whenever I'm playing live on big arenas and stuff, I have 2 amps, which are hard panned left and right, just like studio thing, right? It's a stereo thing. Yeah. So I do that, and sometimes what I do is I do a drive-head setup. So one of the amps has all the effects. And one amp has just the dry tone, so you can blend.
So the engineer can blend in and do
basically
do that. For the house.
So, but I'll need more of a bigger contraption for that. But this is what the basic setup is. This is like my travel mode. I travel with this, so it has to be compact, right? So then from there, it right now is going mono to this beautiful orange Micro Terror amp over here. Okay. So this is called a lunchbox amp.
Okay.
Right? So this is a lunchbox Micro Terror amp. It's 20 watts, I guess. Is going into a matched cabinet that comes with it. It's a 112 cap, like a normal 112 cabinet. The best part about this amp is like it's one of the better amps to use at home, because you can't crank it, man. Like tube amps are loud.
Yeah, this is a living room setup and it works very fine for musicians like us because we don't. I mean, I don't need my neighbors banging and saying, "Sherrin sir, bahut awaaz aa raha hai." Today when Anurag came to do this sound check, we were like, "Oh God, I know I can't. I only asked him to come, so I can't ask him to like stop. I need the dynamism." Exactly. So Anurag, if you're watching, thank you for doing this, man. This whole. The kit and the tuning, and we need to figure out a little bit of acoustics, and we will eventually. Yeah. So also, Ivan and Philip from MusikShack, thank you for providing orange amplification. Please take us through what this is doing.
So essentially, this is an amplifier. So it's making your line signal into an amplified sound, right? So this is mic'd up by an AKG mic,
correct,
which is sounding really good in my cans. But so this amp is one of the smaller versions of their bigger lines, right? So the Micro Terror, then probably there's a tiny.
There's a dual terror then.
Dual terror. So this is a 2-channel amp. This is a single channel amp. Correct. So this has a volume and gain and a tone. So it's basically I can drive the amp. Still having a master volume. So usually what 1-channel amps do is like when they have a master volume, they have a gain knob, right? And they have a master volume knob. So this one has both. Sometimes on some amps you don't have the master volume. So when you crank the gain, invariably it becomes louder, right? So and that was ideal back in the day. Now we have good microphones to capture the whole signal, right? So and also places are getting smaller, man. We are doing gigs in apartments. We are doing studio dates and stuff, right?
Correct. So, this is one of the reasons why.
So this is one of the more ideal things to have. And this is a really nice amp.
Right. So Nischal has a comment for you. Do you do any indie music? Do you have any indie music out? If not, what would be your ideal project sound like? Bhushan Chitnis.
Okay. This is a very. So I used to play in a lot of indie bands back in Pune. So I used to have a band called Skylight Vision. So we did a lot of. We used to play pop rock essentially, like that's what we called it. So it was the perfect blend between like popular stuff, pop, and like not per se rock nahi bol sakte, but it was more of like a progressive sort of a thing, right? So like a progressive rock sort of thing.
So kuch bajao usme se to kuch
I don't remember, man. Wait.
You don't remember?
But I can like figure something. Wait.
Also, Varun Panchal is saying, let Mr. Bhushan now speak in passive tone. A modern age rock Yoda is here. You're getting some severe compliments, sir.
Severe compliments.
Severe compliments. Pranita has been saying, do something. She's thanking you for all the links that you said. All right. And Sigmund is also asking you if you can loop in solo more.
Loop and solo more, he wants me to do.
I think that's an interesting thing because not many people get to see a live looping artist.
So I wish I could do. This is the first time I'm actually trying this on this pedal because I don't crank an amp at home. I live in Bombay. You don't get to.
You get to do it at the circuit. Wait till my wife comes and say, "Baby, तेरे घर को क्या बना के रखा है?"
I can imagine, man. Let's change keys, man. We can do something in E. 2, 3, 4.
Sweet, my man.
Thanks, man.
You want to talk us about the other powering that has happened in our life, which is through Grail guitars?
Yeah, man.
These are some really tasty guitars which has come through.
I really love these guitars. I tried them out a while ago, and I mean, it's very nice to have guitars of this quality available to you. I mean, in terms of, because the wood that comes, these days, like, matlab, when you go to buy high-end guitars, they're made of like really good woods.
Correct.
Essentially, like one of the more rare woods that guitars are made from is called Sitka spruce.
Okay.
So you don't get a lot of Sitka spruce anymore because Sitka is in Alaska and those people don't want
So
to.
I can understand why it costs so much. because just
Exactly,
getting-
right?
Yeah.
But people like Grail are making it available. Good quality instruments in not that
Not
big
that
of a break the bank.
break the
not
bank and
that
pocket
kind
and
of thing.
hole and-
Exactly. So I think this is one of those examples where you can achieve a nice sound without breaking the bank essentially. I like this, man. Sound of it, man.
Play something we all know.
Like what, man?
Anything.
I don't know, man. Will you sing with me?
Yeah, I could, but I would
Can
need.
you?
We're short of inputs today. I'll try.
What do you want to sing? Come, I'll play something for you. You can just join along.
Okay. No. 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 Today's all about you. Just play.
I'll just play something on top of my head.
Okay.
describe how much I love to play in E.
Also, people are saying they also can't seem to be able to describe how wonderful you're sounding right now. Especially Pranita Gehlot Das, and she's saying she wishes she had learned guitar too, or just instead of just vocals. So that's like a huge compliment. Also, Viraj Nakawa is saying, where is this happening? I want to be there. I have to still figure out how to get these 31 comments to be seen at the same time. I'm still figuring this out. Okay, excuse me. Ladies and gentlemen, before we turn off today, I would like to present our sponsors who have been putting this whole setup for us. We start with Harman, who has been very benevolent in putting this entire infrastructure together. And they have Harish and Prashant and Yogesh and everybody from there. Thank you. Thanks a ton for all the gear that you provided. MusikShack has powered us with Grail guitars, with orange amplification and Ddrums. We have a food partner, Sagar, Mr. Lobo Uncle, who has been one of the Santa Clauses in my life, and we also have Desi Tortillas, who's given us, if you don't mind, a snack. All right, and we have many more partners who are coming and joining us. Before, thank you everybody for joining. Thank you, Bhushan, for such a wonderful
Thanks
episode.
a lot for having me.
We've gone way beyond than what we normally go. I think you were quite mesmerizing. You are a very talented musician, and it feels nice to be in your presence and grace. Before we sign off, we would like to present you with a classic rock backing track, jam in F sharp minor. No, your clock begins right now. Gentlemen, please, my dance jam tracks. Thank you for the wonderful content. Here goes Bhushan Chitnis on guitar. Ladies and gentlemen, with that, we come towards the end of this episode. This is episode 4 featuring Bhushan Chitnis. This is The Circuit, and I am Sherrin Varghese, and welcome once again. What am I doing? I'm supposed to be doing this as an outro. See you next week, same time, every Wednesday and Thursday, 11 a.m. and 7 p.m. Thank you.